This is Charlie Kao with Travel Mall Media Group in Fort Worth, Texas at the Airline Travel Payment Summit. And I'm with Jason Howard, who's a Senior Vice President at Ethoca. Jason, let's just get started and if you would, acquaint our audience with what Ethoca does.
Yeah, sure, Charlie. No, thanks for the time. Glad to be here and happy to share that information. So Ethoca's got a really simple business, but it's really wonderful in what it's able to do. We've built a network globally that links merchants who do business online, so that's people in the travel sector, airlines, with credit card issuing banks, so that they can collaborate to be able to kind of reduce fraud, reduce chargebacks, and ultimately increase good transactions, so delivering a better customer experience. So it's really exciting. The network works really simply. The most common form of collaboration is a product that we call the Ethoca Alerts. And what an Ethoca alert is basically when an issuer will reach out to a consumer to confirm whether a transaction is good based on their own velocity controls or triggers. Once they learn that transaction is confirmed fraud, they will share that immediately with Ethoca, then we in turn can get that to the airline or the merchant. And what that is able to do for the airline or the merchant is allow them to be able to take definitive action, because it's a confirmed fraud. It's not a guess, it's not a score, it's not a predictive nature. It's the consumer talking to the bank. And so now they know that's fraud, and then now the airline can know that's fraud. And so then what can the airline do with that? So by getting that data quickly, they're able to react fast, but potentially stop the fraud from occurring, so prevent the fraudster from actually delivering on the flight, which means they can put it back into inventory, resell it, maybe get a change fee if they can't get a full fare out of it. So that's very important from a margin and business perspective for an airline. They're also able to benefit from the intelligence associated with that data. So by getting that negative data in much quicker, and by waiting for that chargeback to come in through the airline's acquirer, they're able to update their negative lists, so to prevent other transactions from that fraudster. They're able to look for other linked orders based on common IP address or email address or phone number or buying behaviors.
Right.
And then that allows them to also get the data in and be able to update their models in a more efficient way as well.
That data set is what's shared.
Exactly.
What you just
that data
outlined.
set is what's shared, exactly.
And again, how large are the collaborating credit card companies or merchants?
Yeah, so we've had just remarkable success over the last few years. We've grown quite significantly. We have over 40 issuers participating from 37 different countries on the network. So when we have very successful markets in North America with mostly U.S. and Canadian issuers, very strong presence in Europe, specifically in the UK and France. And then we even have issuing in the Asia Pacific marketplace as well. And so it's really a very broad reach, and so that works well for airlines, which are truly global merchants, because they receive cards from all over the place.
And cumulatively, roughly how many transactions might they handle per day or per X amount of time?
It all varies. I mean, we've helped stop hundreds of thousands of chargebacks. We've sent tens of millions of dollars of confirmed fraud across the network. So it's really material. And so some of the global airlines may see as many as thousands of transactions in a given month of confirmed fraud they may not have known about. So it's really a material tool that supports what the airlines are doing from a fraud perspective.
And this is out of how many millions of transactions per month, or how many transactions per day might this group of airlines and credit card issuers transact?
No, millions. I mean, the amount of volume is just massive for the airlines, right? So that's what makes their job so tricky, is being able to kind of effectively sort through those, find the bad cases, but also find the good cases and not have the false positives or the declines for the good consumers. And so our data is very targeted. It's what makes it very valuable, because it's confirmed. So when the data sets come in, they can react on it immediately and deliver some value back to the airline.
And what's the most recent trend for fraud?
The most recent trend for fraud? It's just the fact that fraud's always evolving. It's a perpetual cat and mouse game. I think one of the biggest trends that everybody's keeping their eye on right now is what's happening in the U.S. with the deployment of EMV. So as that changes, what does that do for fraud patterns? You begin to see more transactions online, move to CMP fraud. How does that affect the airlines? The chip, exactly. The chip cards. Yeah.
So instead of having your card hacked having coffee at the airport and giving your credit card to somebody who takes a photo of it and sells it, that kind of fraud is going away.
Correct. Exactly.
So they have to move online.
Right. Where they'll have where they will have a better chance of better probability of success, perhaps. Right. So we saw this when Europe rolled out the chip card, the EMV. Similar pattern. Saw it also in Canada. So we expect to see it in the U.S. as well. And just given the nature of how much volume that flows out of the U.S., the number of U.S. cards that are out there in the marketplace that are oftentimes compromised, it's a big trend. So we're keeping a close eye on that.
Any other trends that's maybe not so recent, but just persistent?
Persistent? I think the fact that the fraudsters continue to really collaborate, right? So what you continue to see is fraudsters learning from each other. And so through the dark net, sharing information and then finding ways to where they can expose common loopholes, it's something that we continuously see. And then so what's powerful about what we see here at the airline industry and kind of what's happening here at ATPS is this group comes together to do the same thing, to collaborate and share ideas. And we believe collaboration is oftentimes the core tool that really allows the airline or the merchant to really strike the right balance with fraud and risk and transaction acceptance and revenue. And so that's an important trend to keep an eye on as well.
There's this data of fraudulent cards. Would that data not be useful to other sectors, hotels, restaurants, etc.? I mean,
yeah. So you're referring specifically to our solution.
Your solution, the data. I mean, if they're going to try to use it for an airline ticket, why would they not be trying for shopping or hotel?
Of course they would, right?
Right.
And so that's one of the exciting things about working at Ethoca is that what we offer is a solution that's universally valuable. Right? Everybody gets value from learning about negative activity on their accounts more quickly. Right? It doesn't matter whether you're a restaurant or an airline or a retailer, whatever the case may be, there's value there. And so it's a question of partnering with that individual merchant or airline and understanding their needs and seeing how the value maps to their organization and trying to help them with that. So it's a lot of fun. It keeps you busy and you get a chance to work with some of the leading groups in the industry.
Excellent. Jason Howard, Senior VP at Ethoca.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. Pleasure talking to you today.
Cheers.